All right. I think we are officially live. So we're going to go ahead and see how this connection is and see how the feed is going and all of that stuff. So first off, good morning. Happy Friday. Hopefully everyone's having an amazing day. We're going to do this jam session here in my wife's cousin's backyard. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. Hopefully, like I said, you guys are having a great morning. I'm going to be doing this from my mobile device today, so it's going to be a little different. What's up, Iva? Good to see you. So today, I'm going to get right to it because today's a pretty special day. We actually just published episode 1000 on the podcast, which is pretty crazy that we started. I say we. I started. Gosh, it's over 5 years ago now with an idea of starting a podcast, and then ended up doing 1,000 episodes. I had no idea, and a lot has happened in that almost 6 years now. But I did have an idea for 1,000 episode, and it was to sit down with my family and basically have them talk about what it's been like for 20 plus years of living with an entrepreneur. And Salma says Lisa did a great job on the podcast. I want to see the straw hat. Oh, you want to see the straw hat? I don't have the straw hat with me. It's so funny that you brought that up, and it's so funny that you already listened to it. So that's great. There is going to be a part 2 to that because we went on far too long. We told stories. We talked about business. We talked about work life, balance, all of that stuff. And actually, that's what today's jam session is going to be about. Is really, well, I wanted to remind you about the episode, but I also wanted to talk a little bit about work and life balance. And it's not always easy. I have not mastered it, but I have gotten better at it. And you're still learning all the time, right? We're always learning. So I'm going to give you my thoughts today on that as far as our jam session. I am going to try to keep this to like 15, 20 minutes tops. If you guys do have any questions on that, then let me know. Because I'll go ahead and address any questions that you have about that, about work-life balance. Because it's not easy. We're always trying to get work done and be productive. Not always easy, but there are ways that we can get good at that or better at that, and then also still have time. Have time with our family and all of that. So that's what we're going to do when I officially kick this off. Guys, let me know. Can you hear me okay? See me okay? I know the lighting's a little weird because the sun's over there, and I'm under an umbrella because it's warm here in New York. And by the way, if you didn't know, I'm in New York right now. I'm actually visiting family and friends, and yeah. So I got Starbucks today. There's no bulletproof, but Starbucks will do. All right. Karen says it is perfect. Awesome. Cool. Yeah, I've got it propped up on like a float box. So it's a pretty elaborate setup here. So awesome. Iva, can't wait to listen. Awesome. Thank you. Karen, good morning. My biggest problem, no time. I try. All right. We'll address that. We'll address that. All right. Let's see. Diamond, what's up? Good morning. Good to see you. All right, cool. This is like the second time ever doing this from my phone too, by the way, using StreamYard. It's pretty much the same as the computer, but it's a little bit different. All right, let's go ahead and kick this thing off. If you guys are just tuning in or if you're watching this on the replay, you just heard me say that we just published 1,000, the 1,000th, yeah, that's it, episode of the podcast. And it is a special episode because, well, we hit 1,000 episodes. We're just under 18 million downloads to date, which is pretty awesome. Thousands of people around the world, which is great. And to celebrate that, I wanted to invite my family on and have them sit around the table and kind of talk about what it's been like, not just for the 5-6 years that I've been doing the podcast, but the 20 plus years that we've been building businesses, my wife and myself, and getting my wife to be able to share some of her thoughts, which has not been easy to get her on. She does not like public speaking. She does not like to have the spotlight. She doesn't like to be basically the center of attention. So um, we got her on, and she did great. Um, oh, and Karen says, "How are you doing StreamYard horizontal on your phone? It makes me upside down when I try." I don't know. I just turned my camera. That's all I did. I just turned my phone. So I don't know. Um, so okay, let's go ahead and get this thing kicked off. Again, I want to thank you guys for showing up, and I also wanted to thank you guys for being listeners of the podcast. I appreciate you guys, and I'm not going anywhere, so we're going to keep it going. All right, so here we go. We're going to officially do this so I can go ahead and turn this into a podcast episode. All right, so here we go. What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Friday Jam session. Today, if the audio sounds a little bit different, if you're listening to this on the podcast, that's because, well, I'm recording this through my phone, and I am doing a live broadcast in New York. I'm in New York right now, and I am doing my Friday Jam session from there. And today, actually the day that I'm doing this live, maybe not the time that definitely not the time that you're listening to it, I just announced that I recorded and published our 1,000th episode. So if you haven't listened to that one yet, you might want to go listen to it. And you can just find that by heading over to brandcreators.com/1000, I think. Or just go to brandcreators.com under podcast, look for podcast 1000. But today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about what I was talking about in that episode. And in that episode, I invited my whole family. It was my daughter, Kayla, who's 13, my daughter, Alexis, who's 25, going to be 26, I think. Yeah. And my son-in-law, Cameron, and let's see, my wife and my son, Scotty, who's 23. So we sat around my table. We talked about what it was like to grow up in an entrepreneurial family, or, with a crazy entrepreneur like me, right? Like what's it like? And one of the big things that a lot of people want to know about is like work-life balance. Like, how do you do that? And that's what I want this jam session to be about. I want to, even if you don't listen to episode 1000, which you probably should, because you'll get a good laugh. They tried to embarrass me a few times. They didn't really succeed in that, but they tried real hard, and no, they did not embarrass me. I don't get embarrassed all that easy. So yeah. Anyway, go listen to that, and you'll hear them try to. So work-life balance. Let's kind of talk about that here for a second. When I'm thinking about, or when I was thinking about years ago, like, what did I want? Like, was it money, or was it the freedom and flexibility? And at first, it's always kind of like, I want the money. And the reason why I want the money is because that will supply the freedom and the flexibility, right? That's what we think. If we have the money, if we have a business that produces money, then we should be able to do anything we want. But what happens is when you have that, that business that's providing an income, a lot of times it takes a lot of work. And what people don't realize is sometimes it takes more work to do that than the 40-hour work week. And I've found that time and time again. And so the grass isn't always greener on the other side of the fence. We've heard that before. So when you're looking at, when you're building your own business or you're running your own company, you have to set boundaries, and you have to create your schedule first. That's how I've done it. So like right now, in the season of life that I'm in right now, my daughter Kayla is heavily into beach volleyball, sand volleyball. Okay. And so we have tournaments booked for the next 2 months. Right. And so my wife gives me those dates. I pencil them in, or I ink them in, let's say, and nothing else happens in that time. Right now, that's kind of obvious, right? Like, well, okay, it's on a weekend. You're going to schedule something. Well, let me go a little step further here. I'm one of those parents that likes to go to the practices. I did it for my son. I coached my son all the way from T-ball all the way up till he was 16 years old. Never missed a practice. That's because I scheduled it. And so if you want to have the freedom and the flexibility to have work and life balance, you absolutely must sorry here. I gotta get my screen up to go a little brighter there. You really have to schedule it. Okay. And you have to pencil that in. That's what will make it easy for you to have that work-life balance. So you could take it a step further and go, okay, I'm going to block out my workday. So my workday personally is I like to get started around 8 o'clock, and I like to be done with my big levers, the big things that I'm working on. I want them done by usually 12, at the latest 1 o'clock. And what that does is that allows me to have the afternoon to basically do what I need to do with the family or from personally or whatever, right? But the work stuff gets done. The problem with people that do work from home is they're scattered all over the place. I've been there. I'm sure you have as well. And so how do you structure that? You have to sit down and see, what are your levers? What are your things that you're working on that you need to get done? And then you need to pencil them in. And then if one of those things in the morning is like taking your kids to school, well, that needs to be that block of time. And that's how I've always balanced it. So the family schedule kind of always comes first, and then everything else gets built around that. And then from there, when you're sitting out here by the pool with family and friends, you know that you've done the work that you need to do, and now you can kind of rest and you can relax and you don't have to think about it. Now, is it always easy to turn things off? No, it's not. I'll be the first one to tell you it's not easy at all. But it does help that when you feel as though you've gotten things done in your business that can move the needle, then you can kind of sit back and relax. Going back to our photography days, we used to have people come into the studio. So we would never book anything up until 10 o'clock in the morning, because that's when we took our kids to school. That's when we got our kids ready for school. That's when we did all that stuff. And then we didn't schedule anything from, I think it was 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, because that's when we got the kids home. We got to spend some time with the kids. And then if practice was that night, we didn't take any appointments after 5 or something like that, right? So we were able to dictate our schedule, and that's where you get that work-life balance. Okay. Now, again, there's no perfect formula for it, but the one thing I will say is, if you tell the family, hey, I am working, and if you're working from home, this is hard, because your family will come up and go, hey, can I ask you something? Hey, can you do this? Hey, can you help me with this? And it's not like you're really working. Like right now, technically, I'm working. Okay. Now we all know I'm sitting here. You can't see it. There's a pool here, plane flying overhead. And I'm outside on a back patio, but I'm technically working right now because I've blocked this time out, that 10 o'clock in the morning. I told these guys, I told the family, 10 o'clock, I am going to be jumping on a Facebook Live. I'm going to be recording. So I'm not going to be available. And basically, that's what I needed to do. Right. So it can be done. And if you do it, you will feel better about, okay, I'm not taking time away from the family because this is scheduled. Right now, once this ends, I'm going to go ahead and hit, end on this recording. It will get published, and I'm going to basically turn my phone off. I'm going to go hop in the car. I'm meeting my daughter, Alexis, her husband, my granddaughter, my other daughter, and my son, and we're going to go up to Saratoga Springs, and we're going to go have a great afternoon. But I feel like I got this done, right? So I'm done. I can check out. Now, could I do more stuff right now? Of course I can, but this is kind of like a vacation for me. And so when you do that, it allows you to get work done and not feel guilty about it, and then go play. And that's one thing I talked about on episode 1000 is, like, as I was working from the home, a lot of times I felt guilty for working in the home, even though I knew I had to. I got to make money and run a business. But I felt guilty because I was home and the kids were home and they were playing, and I should go play with them. But I'm like, wait a minute, I can't play with them 24/7. And that a lot of times is a hard thing. And I asked my kids that question. I said, that's how I felt. I felt guilty. Did you sense that? Did you feel as though I should have been spending more time with you? And it was interesting on their responses. And they didn't think so. They thought it was a perfect mix. But they did have different feelings on me being home. And they didn't realize it at first until they started hearing about other parents and all of that stuff. But I would encourage you guys to listen to that episode 1000. It's going to be a 2-parter, by the way. So there's going to be a part 1 and a part 2 because our conversation just went on for like an hour and a half. So we split it up. So have a listen at that if you want to have a few laughs, if you want to hear what it's like, or what it was like. And my kids now are like, again, you're going to hear them talking about when they were little. And now, I mean, they're 2 of them are grown adults. And you're going to hear how it changed over the years and how them being around it has changed their thoughts and their mindset and all of that. So you might want to listen to it if you have kids, because what you're doing right now as you're building your business, you are teaching them. I'm just saying, and you don't even realize it. So if you're teaching them, then we probably should also teach them that we need to have structure, we need to be disciplined, we need to be consistent, and everything isn't always easy, but this is how we overcome it. And by doing that, you're literally teaching your kids lessons that can't be taught in school. They just can't. So I'd encourage you to share more with your kids. Let them in on it, and have fun with them. Even make it fun as far as a way to structure their day, and you structure your day. So yeah, I encourage you to do that. So guys, do you have any quick questions for me before we wrap this up? My wife hasn't gotten back yet. She's out getting some stuff for tomorrow. We have a little birthday party for our granddaughter, which is she's going to be turning 1, but not until July. But we're celebrating it a little bit early because that's when we can celebrate it is here. So let's see here. Let's see. Love hearing the birds in the background, Karen says. Yeah, it is. They do have some birds. They got chickens up there too, which is kind of funny. Let's see here. Yeah, happy Friday to you too, Nicholas. Let's see. It's just like going to work, setting boundaries is key. Yeah, it totally, totally is. And that's the thing, right? If you set boundaries and people know of your boundaries, then you're not like making things up to look busy, right? You're getting things done and they know it. It's like you're at work. And yes, Karen, she is almost 1. So guys, if you don't have any questions for me, then we can go ahead and wrap this up. If you did have anything, drop it in the comments. I'll give it a second because I know we have a little bit of a delay. But yeah, I just wanted to thank each and every one of you for tuning into these coffee talks and being part of the morning crew, but also anyone that is a podcast listener, or if you're listening to this or watching this and you're not a podcast listener yet, or you're listening for the first time, well, thank you first off. And yeah, you've got a little bit of catching up to do, but don't overwhelm yourself. You can go ahead and search. You can search the search box on the website. You can go to iTunes. You can search through there, Spotify, any of the podcast search engines. You can go there. And thank you, Kay. Congratulations on the 1,000th episode. Your podcast has blessed so many of us. I thank you for that. I really appreciate it. And that makes my day. It truly, truly does. Karen, thank you. I will have a great weekend. And let's see. Oh, and Salma did have a question. You grown from podcasting? I think the question is, how have you grown from podcasting? Maybe. Hey, Ty, Linda. Have a great weekend. Can't wait to hear the podcast with the fam. Yeah, it's a funny one and it's a serious one. It's got a little bit of everything going on in there. So yeah. So I hope you enjoy it and have a good weekend. Yeah. Okay. And so how have I grown since podcasting? And it's funny, like the podcast started out as like Amazon focused or e-commerce, and now it's kind of morphed into something completely different. And you guys have been able to see that, really, right? It started out as one thing and it kind of pivoted to another, and here we are. So that should be a lesson and an example for you as well, that you don't have to stay like 100% on that one track, right? We can kind of jump the track a little bit if we want to, or if we need to, but we grow every single time. But the way that I've really grown, I think, from the podcast is it's really taught me how to be consistent, how to be myself, I think, also, and not be so rigid. Because over the years, right, it's you kind of at first think everything's got to be perfect, and you'll hear on the podcast episode 1002 how my family was saying, like, I say a lot of words wrong and all of that stuff, and it's kind of funny, right? But if I let that hold me back, I wouldn't be here today. So it's important to do that. So I've grown by allowing myself to be more of me and not worrying about the numbers, not worrying about the end result as much, and just kind of, this is my place to be me, you know. And I think that's a good rule and an example for anyone listening or watching right now. So okay, awesome, cool. Helene, what's up? All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna jump, guys. I gotta run. But thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys for being part of the 1000th episode. If you guys can do me a quick favor, though, if you think someone would enjoy that episode or just the podcast in general, share it. That would be amazing. And yeah, if they want to come hang out with us on Monday, Wednesday, Friday, just give them the address, takeactioncrew.com. Again, that's takeactioncrew.com, and we can hang out on the Facebook Lives in the morning on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. All right, guys, I got to go. I need more coffee. I'll see you guys later. Have an awesome weekend. I will be back here Monday, probably in the airport. And I've got a cool little Monday mindset for you. So stick around for that. All right, guys. Thank you once again. I appreciate each and every one of you, and have an awesome, amazing weekend. All right, guys, take care. Take action. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.